$50 for the beaten cowboy and his boy, the auctioneer shouted. Pregnant Martha Williams watched in horror as Jack Sullivan and 6-year-old Tommy stood on the auction block like cattle. $500, she called out, spending her life savings to save two strangers from slavery. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The crowd at the dead auction fell silent as the auctioneer called out, "Next lot, Jack Sullivan and his boy, age 6. They come with their horse and wagon. Bidding starts at $50 for their work contract." Martha Williams shifted uncomfortably in her chair, her 7-month pregnant belly making it hard to sit for long. She had come to the auction hoping to buy some farm equipment for her late husband's ranch, not to witness human beings being sold like property. Jack Sullivan stood on the auction platform, his face bruised and swollen from a recent beating. His clothes were torn and dirty and his hands were shaking slightly. Beside him stood a small boy with bright blue eyes and messy brown hair, clutching his father's hand tightly. "These here are good workers," the auctioneer continued coldly. "Jack owes the bank $500 he can't pay. Whoever buys his contract gets 2 years of labor to work off the debt." Martha felt sick to her stomach. This was 1885 in the Arizona Territory, where debt slavery was still legal. Poor families who couldn't pay their debts could be auctioned off to work for whoever bought their contracts. "Do I hear $50? The auctioneer called. "50, shouted Tom Bradley, the meanest ranch owner in 3 counties. "These two will work good in my mines." Martha knew about Bradley's mines. Men went in healthy and came out broken if they came out at all. The little boy would probably die within a year in those dark tunnels. "60, called another voice. "75. Bradley countered, his eyes gleaming with greed. Martha looked at the little boy's terrified face and made a decision that would change her life forever. $500, she called out, standing up with difficulty. The entire crowd turned to stare at the pregnant woman who had just bid 10 times what anyone expected. Bradley's mouth fell open in shock. $500 going once, going twice, sold to the lady in the blue dress. Martha walked slowly to the front of the auction house, every eye in the room following her. She handed the auctioneer $500, almost all the money she had in the world. "Ma'am," the auctioneer said quietly, "you just bought yourself a 2-year work contract for these here people." Jack Sullivan looked at Martha with confusion and suspicion. "Lady, why did you do that? You don't even know us." "Because no child should be sold like a piece of cattle," Martha replied simply. As they left the auction house together, Martha could hear the whispers of the crowd behind them. "That woman's crazy, buying a beaten-up cowboy and his boy. She's gonna regret this when that man steals everything she owns. Mark my words, she'll be dead within a month." Martha ignored the comments and focused on getting Jack and his son safely to her ranch. During the wagon ride she learned their story. Jack had been a successful rancher until a drought killed most of his cattle. When he couldn't pay the bank loan, they took his land and put him up for auction. His wife had died giving birth to their son 6 years ago, leaving Jack to raise the boy alone. "What's your son's name?" Martha asked gently. "Tommy," Jack replied, still wary of this strange woman who had saved them. "Tommy, do you like horses?" Martha asked the boy. Tommy nodded shyly. "Daddy taught me to ride before the bad men took our horses away. Well, I have lots of horses on my ranch. Maybe you can help me take care of them." Martha's ranch was modest but well maintained. Her husband had died 6 months ago in a riding accident, leaving her to run the place alone while pregnant. "This is your home now," Martha told Jack and Tommy. "The bunkhouse is clean and comfortable." Jack was suspicious. "What kind of work do you expect from us?" "The same work any ranch hands do. Caring for cattle, mending fences, helping with the harvest. Fair work for fair treatment." "And when the baby comes?" Jack asked, noticing her condition. "When the baby comes, I'll need even more help. If you're willing to stay after your contract is up, I could use permanent ranch hands." Over the next few weeks, Jack proved to be an excellent worker. Despite his recent hardships, he was skilled with horses and cattle. Tommy helped with small chores and quickly became attached to Martha, who treated him with the kindness he had missed since his mother's death. But not everyone in town was happy about Martha's purchase. Tom Bradley was furious that he had lost the chance to exploit Jack and Tommy in his mines. He began spreading rumors around town that Martha was living in sin with Jack, that she was crazy for trusting a desperate man, and that she would soon regret her decision. "That woman's asking for trouble," Bradley told anyone who would listen. "You mark my words, that cowboy's gonna rob her blind and leave her for dead." The rumors grew worse when Martha began showing Jack and Tommy the same kindness she would show family members. She invited them to eat dinner in the main house, helped Tommy with his reading lessons, and treated Jack's injuries from his recent beating. "She's getting too close to that man," the town women whispered. "It's not proper for a pregnant widow to be living with a single man." The criticism reached its peak when Father Murphy, the local priest, came to visit Martha. "My dear," he said seriously, "the whole town is talking about your arrangement with this man and his boy." "What arrangement?" Martha asked innocently. "Living in the same house, sharing meals, treating them like family. People are saying it's not appropriate." Martha's eyes flashed with anger. "Father, I bought these people to save them from slavery, not to treat them like slaves myself. They're human beings who deserve dignity and kindness. But the boy's not your responsibility. And the man? People are starting to think you have romantic feelings for him. What I feel is Christian compassion. If the town has a problem with that, they can take it up with God." Despite the gossip, Martha continued treating Jack and Tommy like family. She was amazed by Jack's gentleness with animals and his patience in teaching Tommy life skills. She was touched by Tommy's eagerness to help and his innocent questions about her pregnancy. "Mrs. Williams," Tommy asked one evening, "when your baby comes, will you still want me and Daddy here?" "Of course, Tommy. You and your father are part of this family now. Even though we're not really family?" Martha knelt down to Tommy's level, despite her growing belly making it difficult. "Tommy, family isn't just about blood. It's about people who care for each other and choose to stay together. You and your daddy chose to stay and help me. That makes you family." As Martha's pregnancy progressed, Jack became increasingly protective of her. He took over the heaviest work on the ranch and insisted that she rest more. When she had difficulty reaching things or moving around, he was always there to help. "You don't have to take care of me," Martha told him one day. "I'm not your responsibility." "Yes, you are," Jack replied quietly. "You saved my son's life. Taking care of you is the least I can do." But their growing closeness only fueled more gossip in town. When Martha went into labor 2 months early, the town doctor initially refused to come to the ranch. "I'm not delivering a baby in a house of sin," Dr. Peterson declared. It was Jack who rode into town and literally dragged the doctor to the ranch, threatening to horsewhip him if anything happened to Martha because of his prejudice. The birth was difficult, and for several hours it looked like Martha might not survive. Jack paced outside her bedroom door like an expectant father, while Tommy prayed quietly in the corner. When the baby finally came, a healthy daughter despite being early, Jack was the first person besides the doctor to hold her. "She's beautiful," he whispered, tears in his eyes. "Would you like to name her?" Martha asked weakly. Jack looked surprised. "That's not my place. You helped bring her into the world. You have every right." Jack thought for a moment. "Hope. Her name should be Hope." "Hope Williams," Martha agreed. "It's perfect." As Martha recovered from childbirth, Jack and Tommy took complete care of her and the baby. Jack proved to be surprisingly good with infants, feeding Hope bottles when Martha was too weak, walking the floors with her when she cried, and teaching Tommy how to be a gentle big brother. The sight of the rugged cowboy tenderly caring for a newborn baby melted the hearts of even the most critical townspeople. Mrs. Henderson, the town's biggest gossip, came to visit with a group of church ladies. She expected to find evidence of impropriety. Instead, she found Jack reading stories to Tommy and baby Hope while Martha rested. "He's so gentle with them," she whispered to her friends. "Look how happy that little boy is," another woman observed. "He was so sad and scared at the auction. And the baby seems to love him already," added a third. When the church ladies left, they had a very different story to tell the town. "That man Jack Sullivan is the most devoted father I've ever seen," Mrs. Henderson announced at the next church social. "And the way he cares for Martha and that baby, it's like watching a real family." "Maybe we were wrong about them," suggested Mrs. Patterson. "Maybe Martha Williams saw something in that man that the rest of us missed." As baby Hope grew stronger and Martha recovered her health, the little family fell into a comfortable routine. Jack and Tommy worked the ranch during the day while Martha cared for Hope. In the evenings they would eat dinner together, help Tommy with his studies, and sit on the porch watching the sunset. To any outside observer they looked like a typical frontier family. The only difference was that they weren't legally married, though their bond was as strong as any marriage. One evening, as they sat watching Hope play with Tommy, Jack asked Martha a question that had been weighing on his heart. "Martha, our contract is up next month. Tommy and I could move on, find work somewhere else if that's what you want." Martha felt panic rise in her chest. "Is that what you want? To leave?" "No," Jack said honestly. I've never been happier anywhere in my life. But I don't want to impose on your kindness forever. Jack, look around you. Look at how happy Tommy is. Look at how Hope smiles when she sees you. Look at how well our ranch is doing. Does this feel like imposing to you? It feels like home, Jack admitted. Then stay. Not because of a contract, but because you want to. Because we're family. That night, Jack made a decision that would shock the entire town. He asked Martha to marry him. Not because I have to, he explained. Not because of the baby or the ranch or what people think. But because I love you and I love Hope and I want us to be a real family. We already are a real family, Martha replied. But yes, I'll marry you. I love you too. Their wedding was the biggest event the town had seen in years. Every person who had once criticized Martha for buying Jack and Tommy at the auction came to celebrate their marriage. Tom Bradley, the man who had wanted to buy them for his mines, stood up during the reception and made an unexpected speech. 6 months ago, I thought Martha Williams was a fool for spending $500 on a broken-down cowboy and his boy. I figured she'd be dead or robbed within a month. The crowd laughed nervously, remembering their own similar predictions. But looking at this family now, Bradley continued, I realized that Martha didn't buy Jack and Tommy. She invested in them. She saw their worth when the rest of us only saw their troubles. And that investment paid off in ways none of us could have imagined. He raised his glass. To Martha Sullivan, who taught this whole town that the best way to judge a man isn't by his worst day, but by what he does when someone gives him a chance to be better. As the years passed, the Sullivan family became one of the most respected in the territory. Jack proved to be an excellent rancher and businessman, expanding their operation into one of the most successful in Arizona. Tommy grew up to be a fine young man who never forgot the kindness that had saved his life. He became a teacher, dedicating his life to helping other children who had fallen through society's cracks. Hope grew up knowing that her family was built on love and second chances. She became a lawyer, fighting for the rights of children and families who had no one else to advocate for them. And Martha lived to see her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, all of whom grew up hearing the story of how their family began at a debt auction where love triumphed over prejudice. On their 25th wedding anniversary, Jack and Martha sat on their porch watching their grandchildren play in the yard. Do you ever regret it? Jack asked. Spending your last $500 on 2 strangers? Martha smiled, watching Hope push her own daughter on a swing that Tommy had built. It was the best investment I ever made. I got a husband, a son, and the knowledge that sometimes the greatest riches come from giving away what you have. I love you, Martha Sullivan. I love you too, Jack Sullivan. And I always will. As the sun set over their ranch, the town that had once criticized their unusual beginning could see the truth that Martha had known from the start. Real family isn't about blood or circumstances, but about people who choose to love and care for each other through good times and bad. The pregnant woman who had bought a beaten cowboy and his son at auction had given them more than freedom. She had given them hope, dignity, and a chance to build something beautiful from the ashes of their broken dreams. And in return, they had given her a love that lasted a lifetime and a legacy that would inspire generations to see past surface appearances to the potential that exists in every human heart.